Ladies and gentlemen, did you see Slammiversary? If you didn't, do yourself a favor. Go find the replay. Impact Plus, Fight TV, wherever you got to find it. Find that replay and watch it because it was a great pay-per-view. Big star done with the company? We don't know. Could be. Let's also take a look at the results from Slammiversary last night. Don't mean to be a spoiler, but even if you know the results, you got to go back and watch it because the talent and what they did in this show is unbelievable, even if you know what's happening next. Let's take a look at those results. First things first, you had TJP versus Trey versus Jake Crist and Willie Mack. Oh boy, these guys put on a hell of a match. Tons of high-flying spots, all of them going all out, selling like crazy. The crowd was going nuts for it. By the way, the crowd for in Dallas there where they were at was sold out. Kudos to Impact Wrestling for pulling that off. In the end, you have Jake Crist hitting a kind of an ugly looking super cutter on Trey, but Willie Mack basically ends up splashing down on Chris. Cover 1, 2, 3 into the match. Not going to give too many details on what happened because I want you to go find it and watch it. You got to watch it. This is great stuff. But as I said, the winner, Willie Mack, wins by pinfall. Then you jump into the North. Versus LAX versus the Rascals, huge match here. Tons of implications for those of you who may have missed it. The North came into this as the World Tag Team Champions for Impact Wrestling, winning those titles on Friday night, taking them from LAX. So you come into this match with them as champions. Again, these guys all put on a hell of a show. I mean, you can't take anything away from what they did in the ring. It was just some amazing high-flying action. The athleticism was off the charts, and you can't take anything away from it. During the course of this match, it appears as though Santana was hurt. Now, I haven't been able to find anything on whether or not this was a work injury or if it was a legit injury, and I just didn't have a lot of time to research it today. Guys, I have a full-time job and kids and a family, so sometimes maybe I miss on things, but I did my best in my breaks and stuff like that to try and find something, and I didn't see anything. My hope is that it was a work injury. My reasoning for that is because LAX is a pair of the hottest free agents in all of the wrestling business right now. Lots of rumors on if they're going to stay with Impact, if they're going to go over to AEW, are they going to WWE to become part of NXT brand. Just tons and tons of stuff going on there, and I would hate to see an injury derail that for them. They've worked really hard to put themselves in that spot, and I would hate to see that happen. Jump into the next match of the night, Killer Kross versus Eddie Edwards in a first blood match. Match was interesting throughout, a little slower than I anticipated with these two. The look that Killer Kross came out with, the gear package he had on for this pay-per-view was amazing. If nothing else, at least take a look at some of the photos of that because it was really cool what he did. In the end, kind of a neat finish. Not your typical first blood match finish. They did, Edwards snaps the kendo stick, which was something Killer Kross had done to him before. But this time he does it himself. But when he does it, he takes the kendo stick and sticks it into Kross's mouth and starts digging around, making him bleed from the mouth. Blood comes out of his mouth, and at that point, match is over. Just a great creative way for them to end that match. I really enjoyed it, even though the match was a little bit slower than I would have anticipated. But still some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from those guys. They jumped into Moose versus Rob Van Dam. Probably my least favorite match of the night, I would have to say. I don't know, the chemistry just wasn't 100% there in my opinion. Basically, in the end, you have RVD dropping Moose. He looks for the frog splash, misses it. There was already a chair in the ring that Moose had brought in. He lands on that. Moose waits for him to get up, hits a spear, 1, 2, 3, boom, done. Is what it is. It's over. Don't get me wrong, I mean, the guys they did their absolute best, but for me, it just, I don't know, there was something missing there for me on that one. I'm not sure what exactly it was. Then you get into the Monsters Ball. Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary, Sue Young, Jessica Havoc. They started off with the Sinister Minister coming out and talking about, and here it goes, doing his bit. I'm not going to repeat his whole bit, but it was just his little promo time. Tons of fun stuff. This match, they had staple guns, chairs, tables, thumbtacks, big spots off the top and off the side of the ring. They really went after it. These ladies put on a hell of a show, as I thought they would. If you saw my preview to Slammiversary in my previous Impact video, you know that I was high on this match already just because of the talent involved, and they absolutely did it. I don't want to give away too much of it, but basically in the end, there's a big bump involving some thumbtacks with Havoc and Su Yung, but Taya Valkyrie gets in the way of the finish and ends up getting the pinfall in her own way, retaining her title, which is really good. Gotta watch that match. Even if that's the only one you go find and watch, you gotta watch it. It was really good. Classic, entertaining stuff. Moves into Rich Swann versus Johnny Impact. Again, in that previous video, if you go back and check it out, it's in my Impact playlist. But it's also my most recent video if you want to check it out. I talked about how these two guys, you could not ask for two guys to put on a match with more athleticism, and I was spot on. These guys were flying around the ring, doing all kinds of fun stuff. Just really, the crowd was into it, and you couldn't. It was a can't miss match with these two guys. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, but it was they really delivered. They held up their end of the bargain. Long story short, you got Impact, Johnny Impact, that is, lands the Starship Pain, doesn't get the pin, thinks he can't believe that Swann kicked out. They go through a series of moves, one bing bang boom, pin, Rich Swann wins. Here's the interesting news coming out of that match and coming out of that event last night. Johnny Impact's contract with Impact Wrestling expired several weeks ago. Now, he had agreed going into Slammiversary to continue working with them to wrap up the storyline with Rich Swann, which kudos to him for being a good businessman and not leaving Impact hanging. Now, at this point, it's not clear what's really going on with Johnny Impact other than he is a free agent at the current time. He is still in talks with Impact Wrestling and trying to negotiate a deal to possibly sign with them. At this point, it's not known if AEW has shown any interest, if WWE is interested in any way of bringing him back. Johnny is 39 years old at this point, so it may be time on his side to try to get that one last big run for big money. But at the same time, he strikes me as a guy who does this for the love of doing it and not as much for all the money, even though that's what his character portrays with the Hollywood type gimmick. But I just think he's more interested in doing it for the love of the business than he is how much money he's going to make at this point. I think he did really good with his first WWE run, and he's done well since, even though he's been out on the independents per se, with Lucha Underground, many other organizations, Impact, things like that. But I would like to see him go over to AEW, even if it's not a full-time gig. They've got some guys over there in AEW that you throw him in the ring with them, holy crap, what a match you're going to get out of that. All right, so now let's jump into Brian Cage versus Michael Elgin for the Impact World Championship. The match was highly entertaining. I had said previously that Brian Cage, to be as huge as the guy is amazingly athletic and can do things that somebody his size should not be doing. He did that in this match. So he brought everything I expected him to bring. Michael Elgin, same thing. He even brought a couple things I didn't expect him to do during this match. So again, another match that you really should go watch. In the end, I kind of called this one, but it was pretty obvious. Brian Cage does get the win. I'm not going to spoil anything on how he got the win in that match. But the post-match part is where all the interesting stuff goes on. There was a big to-do with Elgin and Don Callis. Looks like Elgin's about to get Don Callis, and then here comes a masked man, a.k.a. everybody says is Rhino. Definitely looked a lot like him, so we'll find out. Comes in, spears him, or gores him if it was Rhino, and then does a little weird yay, and then runs out of the ring. Definitely looked a whole lot like Rhino, ran out through the crowd, And that was the end of it. They just kept saying, "Who was this mystery man?" Which is what you would expect them to do. But if it was Rhino, they definitely set up a huge match right there with Rhino and Michael Elgin. That's a big deal right there. Now, this is the part I've been waiting to get to. Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan. I said in that previous video, and I hate to keep trying to hype it, but you can go back and listen to it if you want in my preview video before Slammiversary. I said this match would be the match of the night, and it was the one that I was most waiting for. And it played out perfectly. These two had an amazing match across the board. Tessa Blanchard looked great throughout the whole match. She took a big boot from Sami Callihan early on, and she sold that better than most male talent sells it. He sold for her better than some male talent sells for him. Sorry, I said that incorrectly. He sold for her better than some female talent sells for her. You can't take anything away from these two. They did a masterful job of allowing Tessa Blanchard to continue to look strong and look dominant while still letting Callihan look strong and end up getting the win in the end. Now, I don't want to give too much of it away because this, again, is another match that if you didn't watch this pay-per-view, for crying out loud, if you're a wrestling fan, find the replay and watch it. It's amazing. Stop sleeping on Impact Wrestling. Jeez. You gotta watch it. I'm tired of the excuses of I can't find it. I don't know. It's on Twitch. It's on Pursuit. You can get it if you really want to see it. A true wrestling fan finds ways to watch what they want to watch. Take care of your business. But the match went off awesome. They did do some post-match stuff where basically Callihan ends up getting both bats. Tessa, by the way, came out with her own bat in this match. He gets a hold of both of them, and of course their selling is that he's going to attack her because she's laying in the corner. Luckily, it actually wasn't the direction that they went, and I was very impressed with it. He basically hands her her bat, and then he just heads to the back. And at that point, they end the show. The crowd's just going crazy. He's, of course, up on the ramp, sticking arms in the air, thumbs up, all this good stuff. Tessa's starting to get up in the ring, but that's how they ended the pay-per-view. Now, I mentioned just a few seconds ago, if you haven't seen this pay-per-view, do yourself a favor. If you call yourself a wrestling fan, you need to go find it. Find the replay and watch this pay-per-view. It was excellent. It takes a show, and I'm not bashing WWE here. That's not what I'm here to do because I love all wrestling. But it takes a show like Stomping Grounds and makes it look like crap. Now, I'm not talking about because it's in this big, huge arena, because it's not. I'm not talking about because it has the hugest stars in all of wrestling, because it probably doesn't. I'm talking about because the talent that was in the ring put 100% of their heart and soul into this event, and they went hard. And they did everything they could do to make sure that every fan that bought a ticket or paid for the pay-per-view got what they paid for. And that is what the wrestling business is truly all about. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please hit that like button, subscribe, throw some comments on the video, share this with all your friends, help me get some more subscribers. That helps me grow, and it helps out the channel a bunch. Again, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.